Sitting here with me right now, Rachel Martin, Women's Republican. What is the whole thing?
I'm National Chairman of Homeland Security for the Republican women.
You're National Chairman for Homeland Security for the Republican women. How do you get that gig?
It started back in '99. I started working with law enforcement, military, and fire, and continued to, and still do to this day in my personal business. And I've been so involved with the passion, and I think I was just at the right place at the right time. And they said, you know what, you're already, 3/4 of the way there. Why don't you just take the reins? So
wait a minute. They just don't give this to anybody. You got to be some kind of badass. Let's talk about your background. Where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Wyoming.
Really?
Yes, I did.
And so what brought you to Fresno?
Family.
Okay, so you had family that lived here, or was there a husband involved?
Family that lived here.
Okay, so
I came here as a
you're like,
teenager.
Wyoming is boring. I want to come to California.
Well, to a certain extent. I mean, but you have all the hunting there, and
Are you a
fishing.
hunter?
I'm a hunter and a fisher.
Okay.
I will shoot it, gut it, and cook it for you.
Wow. Wow. I've never heard it put quite that way. But anyway, so you moved here from Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And so had you been in the politics before that?
Yeah, I was actually raised in politics. My grandfather was a politician, and he was a Democrat. So I was raised in a very Democratic family. I mean, we would
Good
have
for you.
family, and anything that had to do with the family, we would all get together and vote on it, and we were like our own little country. My family's my mother's side. This is my mother's side.
And this is why in Wyoming.
No, actually, this is here in California.
Okay, so I was going to
Right.
say, because in Wyoming, it's not a big Democrat state.
No, it's not.
Where California is a big Democrat state,
Right.
and here you are in the Republican Party.
And here I
So
am.
you come out to Fresno.
Yes.
What's the first thing you do?
I just go to school. Fresno State Bulldogs. Woo!
Okay, so you're a Bulldog.
Yes.
And you go over there and you take what?
Business classes.
You start taking business classes, and you graduate with a business degree,
Yes.
and you get out and business degree and
Public
Homeland
administration.
Security. It's not.
Well, I continue on to public administration, but my first, real paid CEO position was for the Explorer program, which is an apprenticeship program for children that are 14 to 21 years old.
They want to be a cop.
Well, it's more than that, but the majority is law enforcement, and that's what people associate. When they hear Explorer, they think cop, but it's actually law enforcement, fire, military, EMT, there's medical, there's legislative. It's huge, but the majority are law enforcement. I mean, it's a win-win because they get to see how the kids, how their behavior and their work ethic is, and the kids get to see.
It's not just the kids learning.
No.
It's
Right.
the cops too.
I think they use it as sort of as a recruiting tool, but the kids, it's great because they get a dose of reality and decide,
Little
yes,
scared
this is
straight
what I
kinda,
want,
right?
or maybe this is not what I want. I thought this is what I wanted,
Right.
and that's a
Or
bonus.
I better stop doing what I'm doing or what my friends are doing
Right.
because these guys are on it.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
A little scared stiff kind
Yes.
of thing.
Yeah,
So
it
you're
is.
CEO of that?
No, I was.
You
That
were
was my
CEO
first.
of the Explorer program.
I was.
Pretty big, right?
That was back in
It's a
99.
statewide program.
Yes, it is.
And so you get
Actually,
out.
it's worldwide, believe it or not.
But you were running.
Yeah, here, just here.
Okay. So you get out of the Explorer program and get into what next?
More nonprofit, but I ended up getting sick. I had cancer and decided to go out on my own in the business world. And so I went into writing grants for law enforcement, military, and fire, and realized that I was doing so much PR, advising them on public relations and damage control. And I thought, why am I not getting paid for this if I'm doing this for free? And so,
And I bet they were doing tons of stuff wrong.
well, some
No,
of
they
them.
were.
Some,
They were.
and it's and that's the thing with law enforcement and military and fire and FBI and everything, is that people only hear about the bad in the media. You don't hear about the good, and you don't hear about, and that's where being the chairman of Homeland Security comes into play, because I get emails on a daily basis from the feds on how many terrorist acts have been prevented, how many terrorists they've caught, how many, the bombs and the weapons and the things that they're making, and what is prevented on
Why
a
don't
daily
we hear
basis.
more about this?
The liberal media, honey.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that
Those
the
are your
liberal
friends.
media just doesn't want to scare anybody? They don't want any people to know about this
Well,
kind of stuff?
they'll
Because if
scare
it's
'em.
real, don't
it's
we
real.
don't we have a right to know?
You absolutely have a right. And that's, what I try to do is inform people, and mainly through my Twitter, because that's public. So I'll constantly post things that I get. And my main concern is terrorism, and especially with the things that are going on right now between China and Russia and Iran. And they're
Korea?
Korea's off on their own. Iran and China and
wouldn't
Russia
trust them.
no, definitely not trust them. But here are these three that are banding together, and Iran is tied into the terrorists. I mean, they fund them, and so here's the crisis that's going on with ISIS, and it's dangerous. I don't feel safe. I mean, I do to a certain extent because we are in the safest nation in the world, but something's going to happen, and it's scary. Personally, I think that they're going to do a simultaneous attack on our ports, which will shut down all of our ability to export is one thing, but to import is another. And here we go to the water crisis. We're constantly closing down because we don't have water. And it's not that we don't have water, it's that we don't have the proper storage for the water. And we all know about the smelt, right? I mean, how much can that really feed us? Not that much. So because of it, we're closing down on the farms. The farms, they don't have the water, so they're shutting it down.
So farmers aren't getting money because of the smelt.
They're not getting the water. Not only
They're not
because of
getting
the
the water
smell, but
because
because
of
of
the
some
smell.
bad decisions that were made, at the Capitol and in Washington for water storage. It's just, it's out of control,
So tell me this. You said they. You believe that they are going to attack all of our ports. Who is it? Who's they?
Well, a combination. I ultimately think it's going to be the terrorists who are funded and becoming allies with everyone that is our enemy, which is Russia, Iran, and China.
You think they'll all team up and come after us at once?
I think that there's definitely an alliance there.
Other
Yeah.
than the ports, what would they be after? What's big?
Just mass amounts of people to kill. But what's big right now also is cyber terrorism, and they're constantly shutting down our power plants and nuclear plants, and they're basically running tests by shutting them down. But of course, we have our firewalls and we have our guys that are doing their jobs, so they catch it. And when they shut us down, it's only for a few minutes, which is pretty significant still. But they're running their tests so that they perfect it. And when they're ready to shut us down, I mean, they could shut us down. They can hit our ports and do the cyber attack at the same time, and it would be horrifying. It really would.
Now, if people wanted to hear about this, is there places where people can go and find out about this?
They can go to every federal agency website and read up on it. They absolutely can. Or they can go to my Twitter, because I'm constantly posting stuff on Twitter.
What's your handle?
It's HLS, which stands for Homeland Security Chairman, at HLS Chairman.
Okay.
That's it. Mhm.
Now, if people, you work out of the Central Valley.
Yes, in Sacramento and Washington,
Is there anything people, just regular everyday people, can do to make themselves safer?
You know what? We can, in the Central Valley, what's important is that we can fight for the water. We can raise our voices. And, another Homeland Security issue with the water right now is that we don't have enough water for the firemen. And this is definitely going to be the worst fire season that we have ever seen. And normally what they do is they're able to scoop water out of the reservoirs to put out wildfires. We don't have that water anymore to scoop. And so because of that, they're having to ship water in. It's kind of like, a kidnapping. The first hour
Oh, ransom.
is imperative. Yeah, that first hour, you need to get all the information you need to do. It's the same thing with the fire. That first hour can make or break you, or it can add on 5 to 10 days of fighting that fire, and because we don't have that water to scoop, we have to ship it in,
And that's time. And it's money, too. The water's not free, right?
No, it's not. It's absolutely not free, and it's costing us even more money. And what's even more horrifying to me is that we've actually seen structures, homes, apartment buildings burn down, because as long as the people are out of the building and they're safe, we don't have the water to put it out. So the firemen will let the structures burn. You know what that means to the average Joe who's renting their apartment or renting their home and they don't have renter's insurance, that means everything's gone.
Everything they own.
You know, and Red Cross comes in, but how much does Red Cross really replace? I mean, they help, and thank God for them because they do help, but they don't replace everything that you know, the people that live there had, especially if it's apartment building and it's a mass amount of people, you know, 5, 6 different apartments.
Right.
What are those people going to do? Because we don't have water, we can't save structures.
Right.
We're going to let buildings burn down.
I think the what was it? The old building that just burnt down on Blackstone, the old
Right.
the old furniture building. Now the roof collapses. It's sitting there, ready to fall apart. Someone lights it on fire. Now, this is one that I believe maybe they should have let burn. They said 5,000 gallons of water they dumped on there, and it absolutely had no effect on the fire.
Right.
Yeah, so, the water is very important to us right now. I know we're having a hard time getting it. Is it going to change in the future?
Well, that depends on who is in office, from Assembly to Senate to Congress, and what they're going to do about it. You know, and I hear from a lot of people, well, you know, because there's a water bond that's up right now, which actually they put on hold until August. And personally, you know, the governor should come in and call, you know, a crisis meeting. And he did
Right.
declare a state of emergency, so why isn't he demanding, you know, a meeting when everybody's taking a break? But I think there are people that have been in office long enough to have made a difference and have not made a difference. You know, because
all these agreements were made many years ago,
or weren't made.
or weren't made. Okay.
You know, when they should have been made. They should have done something. I mean, the Central Valley, the San Joaquin Valley, is known as the fruit and breadbasket of the world. Of the world.
Right.
We don't just take care of our people here. We take care of the world. You know, and they continue to minimize this because water is so important. And not only does it hurt the valley because we're not growing the produce, but how many people are we not employing on those farms that were employed before then? You know, and they talk about, oh, well, let's build this and let's do this. And, okay, that's great, but, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know the term, I can't think of it right now, but if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Okay.
Okay, well, the Valley Farms were not broke. They're constantly bringing revenue into the Central Valley and putting people to work and doing so many great things. So why are you not paying any attention to that? And the water, now the water is beyond affecting the farmers. It's affecting everyday people. It's affecting people downtown in the Tower District and in you know, downtown Fresno, and people everywhere with these fires that are going on. And I know with the wildfires, we're going to lose men this year, men and women. Somebody's going to die, and I pray to God that it doesn't happen, but it's inevitable. There was a big fire up north just a few days ago. We had 1,600 firefighters show up there, and I mean, now it's at, I believe 45% contained. Before, the firefighters were injured. I mean, from smoke inhalation to, you know, third-degree burns. There are so many different issues to where they're never even going to be able to come back to work because of the injury. Because why? Because we don't have enough water. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
Rachel Martin, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming by.